Hey, this is a video addendum for my F-150 Lightning snowplow video. If you haven't watched that one, you probably should do that before you watch this video. This video is just going to be like a vlog style video where I discuss some of the challenges of the build and the technical information, and to discuss some misconceptions that I have seen online. I chose the DK2 Everest snowplow because it was just about the cheapest plow that has full control up, down, left, right from inside the cab. There was also the Home plow that you can purchase from Home Depot, but the reviews were not very good for that one. DK2 also responded to me with some helpful technical information when I asked them and said that I was doing a custom build for the Lightning. So that was really helpful. The snowplow was $3,800 direct from DK2, which included shipping via freight, which is pretty expensive, honestly. Then I spent $125 on the 3-inch square tubing online that included shipping, but I only used about half of what I ordered, so like maybe half of that price. I also used like cutoff discs and some filler rod for the TIG welder and argon, and then some leftover spray paint. So the actual cost for the custom mount was like super cheap. When I started looking for a plow for the Lightning, this was even before I had purchased the Lightning, I found out that there was nothing available. And there are not any front hitches available for the Lightning either. And it is because the Lightning's front frame extension is completely different than in the gas F-150, because there's no engine there and because there is a frunk. So because there's a bunch of stuff in the way, electrical wiring and whatnot, there's just no place to attach the plow or a front hitch how you would normally do it on a gas truck. And because of that, you're probably never going to see a generic design that attaches to the frame rails somehow, because there's just no bolt holes there. And so if you see something in the market, it's probably going to attach the same way that I attach it, which is through the tow hooks. When I installed it, I went in front of them, but it's also possible to go behind them. Maybe. It's a little tricky though. Another difficulty is that there's the active air dam, and this active air dam is on all the newer F-150 gas versions as well, but it sits directly behind that fascia piece and will get in the way of a lot of stuff that you're trying to do. So I saw people claiming that you wouldn't be able to remove that active air dam without having a bunch of air codes thrown in the truck and like having problems happen because of it. And I don't know if that's true for the gas version, but on the Lightning, when you remove it, you're only removing like the blade for the active air dam. It's literally just a piece of plastic that goes across. The electric servos that are on either side, those stay in place. It's just 3 bolts, and then you remove like this flat piece of plastic. I can also confirm I've driven 60 miles an hour with it not attached, and there's no error codes or anything like that. The other concern that I've seen about the truck is that it wouldn't be able to support a plow because the 12-volt battery in the Lightning is too small, too weak, or in some cases apparently doesn't exist. So clearly I did plug it into a 12-volt battery that does exist, and it worked fine. And I knew going forward that it was going to work fine, but let me explain how I knew that it was going to work just fine. So if you're not familiar with electric vehicles and their wiring, they've obviously got a very large high voltage battery pack, but that is not used for things like your headlights or your stereo or door locks and stuff like that. Those are all running on a 12-volt system that's the same as in a gas car. And it has a small 12-volt battery, just like in a gas car. And just like a gas car has an alternator, which charges the 12-volt battery, in an electric car, what you have is a DC-DC converter. And it takes the power from the high voltage battery pack and it charges the 12 volt system with that. So if you've got a 12 volt system and you've got a battery just like the gas one, then why would people think that it wouldn't work? Well, it is because the battery in the Lightning, the 12 volt battery, is tiny. It's really small. It's only rated for 35 amp hours, which is half the size of the one in the gas F-150. The battery is there to act as a buffer, because if it runs out of energy, then you won't be able to control the Plow anymore. So the DK2 Plow has a 100 amp fuse. So that is the maximum amount of power that it will ever draw. So if your battery, your 12 volt battery, is fully charged, it will be able to pull 100 amps for about 20 minutes. And that would be continuous use. Holding down the buttons like, I don't know, back and forth, up and down, continuously for 20 minutes. You're obviously not going to do that. You're going to set the Plow. You're going to drive forward for 30 seconds. At the end of your run, you're going to reverse and lift the Plow up and move it around a little bit and then do another run. So you're going to have some sort of duty cycle on that. And it's probably going to be like 20%. But let's just figure it's 50%, right? So that's a 50 amp draw continuously. But that's just the reserve capacity of the battery. So the gas F-150 comes with an alternator to charge the battery, and it is a 200 amp alternator for most of the F-150s. But that 200 amps is max. So that's like when you've got your RPMs up, because it is limited to your RPM. So if you're idling, you're making a lot less than 200. You might only be making 150. The F-150 Lightning, on the other hand, has a 220 amp DC-DC converter, and it can handle 220 amps continuously. It even has a specified headroom of 50 amps just for aftermarket accessories. So, and that's, again, those are numbers that are continuous. So long as your duty cycle is less than 50%, your DC-DC converter will handle it no problem. Which, yeah, it's going to be completely fine. The only thing that the battery is going to do is to smooth out that power from like 1 minute to the next minute. And in my testing, it was very consistent. You would hit the button a few times, the voltage sags down just a little bit, and it never got very low. It certainly never got lower than the 12 volts that the battery would normally have. And as soon as you let go of that battery, it pops right back up. I've seen plenty of people online saying that the range will drop to nothing when you put a Plow on the Lightning. So the first thing to say here is that electrically, the draw from the Plow will not matter at all. 12 volts, 100 amps, that is 1.2 kilowatts. And the standard range truck, what I have, has 98 kilowatt hours of capacity. So that means over 80 hours of continuous use. Again, 100% duty cycle. It doesn't matter at all. However, having the Plow attached will reduce your range because it's aerodynamically very bad. It's terrible. It's like having a brick wall on the front of the truck. So I haven't tested this, but my guess is that it's, once you get over 20 or 30 miles an hour, it will actually start to reduce your range, potentially substantially. So my recommendation is that when it's in the cold and it's snowing, stay close to home when you have the Plow attached, because it will affect the range. That's all I've got for now. I do plan on doing an update after the winter season to give an update on how well the Plow works and if I run into any issues. But for now, if you have any questions that I didn't cover in the video, go ahead and leave a comment below.